other stocks which are buzzing around in the trading session. Of course, the entire PSB basket is fairly excited. So let's pose that question to Daljeet Singh Kohli. He's joining us on this show. Daljeet, what's happening in the PSU stocks? Is there another leg of rally which is likely to happen? Or, just one should take a very, very tempered move?
Good afternoon. Sorry. So, yes, see this, taking a call blanket that all PSUs should do well. I think that's not a great idea. One has to look at what company one is buying, what is the business there is, and what kind of valuation we are giving. Now, as of last 2-3 months, we have seen that some of these companies have just gone up valuation-wise out of whack. Which could be because of the low float also, and because of the sentiment that there was some announcement in the parliament and some statement given, and all after that this move started. So, but as a fundamental analyst, we should understand that ultimately these are temporary things. Finally, the stock will settle down at its own valuation, at its fundamentals. So we have to be very careful when we are entering into this euphoric moment for these kind of companies. We have to understand one thing, that many of these companies, order book was never a problem. They always had a lot of orders, but the problem was execution. Problem was getting payments from the government, because mostly government is the only customer for all these companies. So getting payments from them, in last few years, we've seen those things have improved, but to say that now they will become equal to or better than many of the best private owned companies, I think that will be asking for too much. So we have to be careful. Though we don't brush everything with the same, paint everything with the same brush, we'll take a look at each of the companies separately and then decide. Mostly we are holding in our portfolios, if there is any PSU, that would be mainly into banks. Others PSUs we have not entered into in our portfolio.
Daljeet, everybody who's come on the channel is saying that railway stocks are expensive, please don't buy them. But they refuse to go down. How would you fundamentally analyze railway business? Let's for a minute ignore the price action. Let's ignore what the stock prices are, what the P multiple are. As an analyst, if you have to understand and explain to our viewers, which railway company has the strongest model, which railway company does not have a great model, and which railway stock to your mind has a model which is a mediocre model.
You see, so railway, you can play with a lot of 2-3 themes. So one is the wagon manufacturers or the coach manufacturers. That is very simple and clean. You can easily understand how many number of coaches will be made, and what each coach costs what amount, and then you can extrapolate that number. You will get the fairly good estimates. So only the hiccup there would be what kind of numbers they will deliver. So if they say we'll deliver 100 coaches, will they deliver 100 or 90 or 80 or 120? You can easily put the table there. So that's one way of playing that. The other way of playing is the component suppliers to this. So like there are companies which supply bearings, there are companies which supply sheet metals, there are companies which do a lot of foam for the seatings, and then there are air conditioning companies. So we have looked at one company which is into many other consumer products, but also doing a lot of work for railways. So if and when we say that all these metros are going to come, metro trains are going to come, many of these local trains are going to convert into air condition, then there will be a lot of activity there. So one action can be done on that side. Then other would be on the safety side. So you have some companies which are into signaling and safety items. So like that, you have to choose the specific portion which you want to play, and then within that play, if the company which you are banking on, if that has a moat, if that has a clear approvals, because railways supplies is again a very long run process. Approvals take 2-3 years to do that. It's not an easy thing to get into railways. So you have to understand that, and accordingly you take. but ultimately it will come down to valuation and where at what price you are buying. So there are a lot of themes which have already played. Railways have announced that they are going for a capex which is a very large amount of 1 lakh crore or something, or a period of 5 years. So one has to again understand how much of that can come every year. And accordingly, you can make your Excel spreadsheets to understand where these numbers are. It is fairly easy to understand railway companies. It's not a complicated business, but the probability of right execution, getting into the stock at the right price, that is more important, I think.
Talking about the space which has been moving higher, that's definitely the pharma space. This is one space, Daljeet, that you have been following very, very closely for a long time. Tell me the stocks that you like.
So I can't take the stock names, but I can give you the flavor. We have a lot of pharma stocks in our portfolio. Some of them are basically domestic oriented. So we see that a lot of companies which have India business, and that is growing, especially in branded formulations. Those companies are of interest to us. So a couple of companies there we have in our portfolio. Then we also have, we believe that in US, this pricing pressure probably is now on the ebbing side, and therefore the companies which have larger share of business coming from US, where the margins got eroded, those can be the ones which can see some turnaround in next 1 or 2 quarters. So some companies there are also of interest, which have US business and where the margin turnaround is definitely a possibility. Then we are also looking at some of the diagnostic companies, because again there we believe that the worst is behind now. They had seen a crash in their margins over last 1.5 years, and now with all this competition getting into all of them, so many players have come in. Finally, it seems that companies are settling down. There are some companies who are doing B2G business with the government partnership. Those are of interest to us. So they are likely to, they've got won a lot of tenders, and they are likely to see some good business pickup in terms of revenue as well as the margins. So there is a good plethora of companies within this space where one can play around. There are companies in hospitals which are likely to see some margin expansion, some basically average revenue per bed expansion, as well as number of beds expansion. So both that way, and they are into tertiary care. So again, an important niche area where one can look at. So there are opportunities within this space. The space has just started performing now after 1.5, 2 years of almost no performance. So I think there is a lot of runway there, and one can look for good opportunities there in that.